So I think I did four DraftKings divisional round wild card playoff best ball, divisional round playoff best ball last night. But I did these in bed in my phone because my wife was snoring. I usually do them all on my computer in general, especially ones like this where the playoff best balls are a bit of a puzzle. So you kind of want to be able to monitor better. But anyway, I did a few just for fun or because I was bored or because I couldn't sleep. Now I'm going to look at them from a fresh eye and see how I did. I know one of them I screwed up right off the bat, and I think I managed to salvage it. But again, the playoffs start divisional round this Saturday, and then with the way these work is you advance, and then you have the divisional round, the conference championships, and the Super Bowl. And you want to have a viable team of 6 players or more in the Super Bowl, combination of 2 teams at least, 2 teams. And the big 5 or the 5 favorites are the Chiefs, the Lions, the Eagles, the Bills, and the Ravens. So, in my opinion, you want to have your Super Bowl team comprised of those teams, if possible. You can add other ones as well. And if you like, the Rams, the Commanders, or the Texans, you can do those. That's up to you. So, but if you watch my last video, I explained a little more about these tournaments. So let's take a look at the first one. I already queued this one up. I got the 3rd spot. Here you're normally going to be taking Gibbs, Barkley, Henry, St. Brown. I wouldn't recommend taking a QB here, and at least in the first 3 picks. Sometimes you could take one on the wraparound here. You kind of want to wait on the QBs if you can, although it's a lot harder here than on Underdog in general. On Underdog in general, you have more quote-unquote smart drafters who sort of work together. Well, DraftKings is a little more of a free-for-all. But DraftKings is more complicated because you have 6 slots to fill, including a tight end, and you get 12 picks. So there's more to it, basically. And the scoring is different. It's much more PPR based, and there's bonuses, for the 100 yards, 300 yards type things. So anyway, I went for Barkley here. I didn't have much Barkley, so that was good that he slipped to me. So these 2 took quarterbacks that fast. That theoretically should be a good thing for me. He did the Baltimore stack. It came back around, and I think my brain shut off because I ended up taking St. Brown. Now this looks really good, but they're both in the same conference, the NFC. And one of the probably biggest rules is don't mishmash with different teams from the NFC or the AFC in your first 3 picks. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh. But then when you look at it, who else would I really take? Maybe Cook. They took Allen and Lamar. So as far as an AFC, then I could take Hurts or Mahomes. So there weren't a huge amount of choices, but I was like, oh. Anyway, then again, that might be a combo not as many people have. So wrap back around. This guy did Detroit, KC, Buffalo, KC. And I just said, well, either Hurts or Goff here. Because you just don't know on DraftKings, people might take more quarterbacks. I suppose I could have waited because this guy, if he took one more, I'd end up with either Goff or Hurts. But I took Goff because I was like, well, Williams is available. Laporte is gone. So, of course, this guy takes Williams. And this will happen. Then he took Andrews, so 3 Baltimore, 1 Detroit. I said, well, Philly, A.J. Brown's out there. I've seen people taking A.J. Brown in the 2nd and 1st round on Underdog. And I mean, Philly's good, and these are good. But A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith haven't done much in the last few games. And who are they playing? The Rams? I don't think that's going to be a shootout game. Maybe it is. I mean, the story with him would be good. Anyway, back around, he took Puka, which is an advancing piece, what I call an advancing piece. The 5 best advancing pieces that are not from the major teams probably are Puka, Nico, Terry McLaurin, Kyron Williams, and Mixon. These are guys that probably are like among the 5, highest projected best players this week of pieces that you can take. But you want another thing to be careful of is, if possible, is, for example, Buffalo's playing Baltimore. So if you take both players from those games, only one team can make it through. And I think I violated that in one of these drafts as well. So anyway, let me go back here. Took Puka, so he's got Buffalo, KC, Rams. That's not really a good start. This sort of says somebody doesn't really know what they're doing 100%, which can be good or bad. It can create opportunities, or it can screw things up for other people. This one took Worthy. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We were coming back around this way. Yeah, they got Worthy and Montgomery. Now, that's really nice. They got Gibbs, Laporta, Mahomes, Worthy, Montgomery. I've gotten similar. These drafts end up sometimes shaking out similarly, and that's why they can get a little boring when there's only 8 teams like this, and everybody knows the combinations of the tournament, or everybody knows how the tournament go. He took McLaurin, so another advancing piece. And here, because all these Detroit were gone, Montgomery included, I went ahead and took Hurts. There's the big 5 quarterbacks. I think the only times I've done 2 is when I get them late like this. And these are both NFC. So my whole team is NFC now through 5 picks. That is not something you want to do. So I have to build AFC pieces in there, assuming how much I get. Baltimore, and then Devontae Smith for no reason. Again, this person sort of just screwed me for no reason. Baltimore and Detroit stag. I mean, I'm not going to say it's no reason, but they twice they kind of pimped me. But I got Goddard, who's actually a better one to get, I think, because tight end slot. So now I've got 4 Philly. So actually, I'm on the road to doing a Philly AFC one because I've already got quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. So any 2 spots from any wide receiver, another spot from the same team. They took Shakir, got their Buffalo going. They got Hollywood Brown and Hopkins, KC going with their Detroit. Kyron, so another what I would call advancing piece, but it does give them a Rams mini stack going. I took Pacheco here. There wasn't much I liked, and I know KC players are available later. So I said, well, KC or Buffalo would be the optimal pairing with Philly. I could actually technically get one with the Detroit too if I took enough of the same team. So I could have a Philly or Detroit plus 1 AFC team. But again, on your phone, you have to be aware of this in the moment at the time. So I would need like a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, and a flex, or another Detroit player. Anyway, Pacheco likely, another Baltimore, Flowers another Baltimore. I took Hunt. I mentioned before I like this combo. Not many people are going to have it, and by the Super Bowl in particular, one of them could be, Pacheco could be dominating, but they can both get points. Kyron, so it does appear they're going the Rams. KC and Houston. Nico's a good advance piece to get that late. And they're playing, who are they playing? My brain is not working right now. They are playing KC, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's not going to be able to advance for him because he's got KC, but that could be the highest scoring wide receiver on the slate. Mari Cooper, Buffalo. They got a Detroit, so they might be trying to get a little double in there. Let's see. Got quarterback. No, I'm not sure about that one. That just might have been what he thought was the best available player. Kincaid, Buffalo. They got Buffalo going. Here I took Dotson. It's Philly, and it looked available. So then I've got as an alternative to Smith, and also a lesser-owned piece. So now I've got Hurts, Barkley, Brown, Dotson, and Goddard. That's a 5-man. Hurts, Barkley, Brown, Goddard, and Dotson. So any AFC player I have can fit in the flex at this point to make it a viable Super Bowl team. So I'm really wanting to be drafting good AFC players from here on out. Buffalo, Detroit, Curtis Samuel, Buffalo that can make it. Cup, Gray, Craig Reynolds. Yeah, people were taking. I mean, I've never taken Dotson that early, but I needed a Philly piece to at least make it simpler for me to decide on the next on then who was coming around. I took Ty Johnson. That's a nice piece to get late. He might, if Ray Davis is out longer with a concussion or whatnot, he could do well, and a very talented player. Jaden Daniels is the one quarterback that I think is good to take late. If you're pinched or you have Washington players, or because in particular if you have Mahomes or one of the, I think Allen and Lamar are probably good to go solo on, but Daniels can outscore all these guys this week. He probably won't make it past that, but that could be one that's one that I would, I wouldn't take Stroud or Stafford late whatsoever, unless I didn't have any other stack and I had to. Final pick, I just went in and took Ertz because I only have one tight end and he can put up some points. Now he is in the NFC, so that one doesn't work for my Super Bowl matchup. So in the end, I ended up with a Philly plus a couple KC plus a couple Buffalo. As far as advancing now, I think my team actually is pretty good. Goff or Hurts on top, Barkley, St. Brown, Goddard, and then a flex, which is a little weaker. Pacheco, Hunt, Dotson, Samuel, Ty Johnson, Ertz. So in the end, I salvaged it, I think you could say. Because these teams aren't playing each other. I'm sorry, my brain I'm still getting some caffeine this morning. So let's just look at real quick at the other teams, see if they made a viable lineup. So that was a 2-4-4-2. These guys both did 1-3-6-2s. I think a 3 running back is fairly normal. I've done 2. I've done 4, 5. I've definitely done more tight ends. Anyway, this guy took Detroit, KC, Detroit, KC, with a running back and a tight end. So he's got a full 7-man already of those. Houston, Buffalo, KC again, Detroit. So if Super Bowl ends up being Detroit and KC, he's got a lot of pieces. However, can he get there? Because advancing is a big part of this. You got to win this round and the next round. Sometimes we don't talk as much or think as much about the next round, but Lions, Eagles, let's say, then Chiefs, Bills, or Ravens. You've got to get through that. And as far as the structure of this one, I think this one is, first out of 8. I'm sorry, first round is first out of 4. Next round is first out of 8. And this is the $3 contest. And that pays out. The $20 contest pays more, but actually the split on it is worse, I think, in terms of like all being jammed at the top. So like first prize is $15,000, 10th is $750. I mean, so I didn't even think it was worth doing the $20 one for me on this. Also because these contests are sort of what's the word? They're like a puzzle, and I could get a little bored. I don't want to have a million combinations. All right, sorry, I'm rambling a lot here. Okay, so they got a viable team, but can they get it through? Mahomes, Gibbs, Worthy, Collins. That was a hell of a pick, actually. Laporta, and then a flex. So that one, if with the Collins ad, that really was smart as an advanced piece, in my opinion. Let's get to Buffalo. So it's 1 running back, wide receiver, tight end. So he's got a 5-man, kind of like mine. So any NFC teams can fit in the flex. Kelsey's not NFC, but Puka is, McLaurin, Kyron, Cup, Daniels isn't, and Robinson. So, fortunately or unfortunately, his stack is Buffalo plus. Buffalo plus the Rams, the Commanders, and that's it. Which could, if that could be a combo nobody really has, because I think he only took 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he only took 5 Buffalo, so he doesn't have a 6 Buffalo. And again, I ended up with a Philly plus KC Buffalo. And this guy, Baltimore, Baltimore, Detroit, Baltimore, Baltimore, Philly, Baltimore, 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 Detroit, Philly, Baltimore. So obviously they went Detroit, they went Philly and Baltimore. I mean they went Detroit and Baltimore, which messed me up because he took a couple Detroit pieces. But anyway, there's a lot of times there's a fight for Detroit because that's the best one. A lot of people think that's the favorite. Also, Detroit is a more top-heavy one. I think KC and Baltimore and Buffalo get spread down here more because they have a lot of guys that don't necessarily put up points. Baltimore spreads down as well. Philly's a little more top-stacked, meaning like depth-wise. Like with Detroit, after the other guys are gone, you're sort of looking at Raymond, Reynolds, Patrick. But on Buffalo, you're looking at Curtis Samuel, Coleman, Cooper, Ty Johnson down here. I think more attractive potentially. On KC, you're looking at all kinds of guys. The running backs. I don't even see any taken this draft, but who are they? Just a bunch of the different receivers. Beyond Hollywood, Brown, and Hopkins sometimes going late. Well, there's Noah Gray. There's Watson, Juju. There's a couple others. And then Baltimore, Hill went kind of late there. Anyway, you can see. I can't think of them all right now off the top of my head. But I would say Detroit's kind of hard to wait on. People fight for these pieces over here. What just happened? So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Baltimore. So full-on Baltimore onslaught. And then adding in pieces of Williams from Detroit, Devontae Smith, that's Detroit, Philly, Tim Patrick, and Gainwell. So they went, so everybody in this draft was pretty smart, except for this guy, I would say. Not ending up with any really viable piece to go with his Buffalo on paper. Let's just see how his advance off the bat, though, is. Lamar, Henry, Williams, Bateman, Smith, Andrews, likely. Yeah, that's pretty good. So, tough draft there. That's how I started off. Messed up right off the bat. Although that's a unique combination. Shouldn't have taken Goff there. Should have waited to see if this person took Williams or A.J. Brown or one of the quarterbacks. Because I left it there, this person probably would have taken Williams and Goff, just judging, because they have Baltimore. Wait, I'm sorry. I would have to decide first. I should have taken probably A.J. Brown or Williams there, is my point. Sorry about that. Anyway, next team, let's take a look at. I got the 4th pick this time. Quarterback first. You're starting to see that on DraftKings more. That worked last round in the playoffs. It's not really necessarily a good strategy this time. There's basically 4, 5, 6 skill players that you want to get 1 or 2 of. And you're locking yourself in. And there's 5 quarterbacks for 4 people. So Allen, Barkley, Gibbs falling 3rd is very unusual. This was some bad drafters, I think. And then I took Henry and St. Brown here. Last draft, I got Barkley and St. Brown. Other drafts you've probably seen, I did take quarterbacks here, but so I'm trying to vary it up. They take Goff to go with Gibbs. They take 2 Philly. They take Lamar. So that's a sign you're dealing with somebody who's probably not going to be a good drafter. Taking 2 quarterbacks in the first 3 picks, I would say, or first 2. When I take 2, it tends to be around one. One of them will tend to be around 4 or 5. And it's because I got boxed in or messed up. It's not the smartest. But, James Cook with it. They took Hurts. So right now I'm already like, okay, Mahomes. And I'm like, don't let this guy be an asshole and take Mahomes. They took a Detroit, so they're after a good start. See, this is what the ripple effects of this guy doing. It helps other people get good team. So on the wraparound, they took Mahomes and Kelsey. There's a debate there whether it's Mahomes and Worthy. But I would not wait on Mahomes there on DraftKings. On Underdog, if you think the people are going to play smart, you can. But to let that go all the way back around, somebody be like, no, that dude's not going to end up with a quarterback. Anyway, took Mahomes and Kelsey in this particular case. Worthy would be another one. There's really 5 or 6 decent tight ends. Probably good tight end plays. Laporta, Kelsey, Andrews, Goddard, Kincaid, likely. And you do have a tight end spot, and you can also play a tight end in the flex. I mean, tight ends can hit your flex, especially in a tournament like this. So I think I took 2 and 3 tight ends. I took 3 on a few. Anyway, come back around. They went Detroit, their 4th player. So I've got a KC Detroit. I've got a Baltimore Detroit KC. Yeah, that's what I meant. This one screwed me. They screwed me here by making me take Mahomes. By them taking Lamar here. Okay. I wouldn't have taken St. Brown if I knew they were going to take Lamar. But nonetheless, you have to transition. I don't want to just start. I have to get the quarterback locked up. And then you might as well stack with your quarterback because you're going to need something from that team in general. Okay. Sorry, like I said, I haven't reviewed these since I did these before sleep last night. Detroit, Philly, 4-14 Philly, Rams, Collins. This is somebody maybe just trying to advance who doesn't know what they're doing. Worthy, so they added a KC to the Philly. That's a good pick, and it screwed me over. Worthy in this round at that spot is a very good pick. Detroit, Baltimore. So they got that going. Andrews is a good pick. There's not that many good. I think it's a good pick there. But then again, this guy doesn't seem to care about stacking. So here I'm looking at KC and Baltimore in the same conference. I'm sort of locked into KC for at least a couple of mine. And Montgomery's there. That could be a really good pick. And I have a Detroit already. Montgomery may come back really quick and do well. So if that's the case, I've gotten him 7th, 8th round, 9th, 6th. I haven't taken him higher than I don't think 5th, but people have taken him as high as the 3rd, I've seen. Anyway, so I got Montgomery and McLaurin. That was more of an advanced piece, and I didn't see any Detroit guys around there worth taking, and I said, well, might as well take an advanced piece here. Shakir, separate from his stack currently. Goddard, adding another Philly piece. Kyron, setting up a Rams. Bateman, setting up a little Baltimore stack. Pacheco, solidifying a Philly KC stack. Kincaid, setting up a Detroit Buffalo stack and a Baltimore piece. So here I took 2 KC. They took Pacheco on me. I took Hollywood Brown and Hopkins. So now I'm looking at quarterback, tight end, wide receiver. So if a team was going to match with this, they need a running back and a flex. So I already have Detroit with a running back and a flex. So I've already got a KC Detroit stack, which isn't bad considering. Came back around. They took another KC on me. They took Daniels to go with Hurts. And they don't even have McLaurin, so I'm a little sketchy on that pick. I took Patrick to go with their Detroit stack. Here there wasn't much I really liked out there. I do have a Baltimore already. So now I say, okay, well, like I said, I have quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. So a running back and a thing gives me another one. So I think when I took likely, I was like, oh, yeah, that'll match up. But it's the same conference, so it doesn't match up. But either way, I think it was a pretty good pick. Like I said, I've already locked up a KC Detroit one for the Super Bowl. And I took Hill. Also because Baltimore's not playing KC in this round, they're expected to win. And there's not that much out there. Samuel Robinson, Noah Gray. That's a typical KC pieces. Stafford, Eckler. I mean, even when I took these two, I just wasn't focusing. I said, oh, these are NFC. These will give me my NFC stack. But I still salvaged it somewhat. Got Gainwell here for Philly. And Dotson here for Philly. Running back, wide receiver. So I did end up with another viable team and a good team. So, I mean, from a good team. Not necessarily this is a good team. meaning Mahomes, Gainwell, Dotson, Hollywood Brown, Hopkins, and Kelsey as a Super Bowl. That'll be a combo not many people have. So if it comes in, and then as far as advancing, and then I have like a three-man Baltimore stack, but that's more to get to the conference final because I got screwed on the quarterback by this guy and this guy and this guy. But really, this guy messed everybody up. And it kind of sent me. I wanted, when you take 2 skill in the first 2 rounds, you need one of the 2 quarterbacks to fall to you, and that's 2 drafts in a row where they didn't. I believe. Anyway, let's see what this guy's got. Allen, Jackson, Cook, Hookah, Collins, great tight end, terrible tight end for the first round. Looks like an advancing team, but did they even make a viable team? Buffalo, Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore. No, I don't think they have enough. Buffalo. 1, 2. Well, you got to remember, KC's their only. No, they don't even have a team that can make the Super Bowl. KC's their only tight end, so they would have to stack it with KC, and I don't see enough NFC pieces. This person went for the Philly onslaught at first. Sorry, Philly stack. Philly, KC, Philly, KC. So right there with the tight end and a running back, they've got a full 7-man already. Cup, Daniels, Robinson. They added a Washington mini one. That one I'll go. Yeah, that one will go with the KC as a very backdoor, and De'Ami Brown, so very correlated. Can they advance? Hurts, Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Where they got? Yes, very good team. This guy picked 1 quarterback and 1 running back. So I'm pretty much telling you right now this is going to be a bad team. Maybe they have a chance. No, they have a chance. But that might be the first 1-1 I've seen that has a chance because they took Gibbs and Goff with their first 2 picks. And they got Laporta and Williams. They GM'd Detroit and it may have worked for them, but let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Baltimore, Buffalo, Buffalo, Baltimore, Detroit, Buffalo, KC. With a quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver. So you need a wide receiver and a flex. They got Detroit, Buffalo, Baltimore, Detroit. I mean, this might be the first team I've seen where somebody jammed and it worked in this case. That might be one to keep note of. Gibbs, Goff. I mean, this person messed it all up for everybody and taking Puka. And I was so far away from them that these guys could take advantage and I couldn't. And again, I ended up with a KC plus Philly plus Detroit, small. And then on the other side of Baltimore, sort of advancing pieces, I guess you could say. Not my best team. But it is what it is. Having Mahomes, Kelsey, Hollywood, Brown, Hopkins, and then adding in St. Brown and Montgomery is kind of a unique setup. Adding in Gainwell and Dotson is definitely a unique setup, but not my best draft either. Doesn't mean these can't advance. If you look at the first round, Mahomes, Henry, St. Brown, McLaurin, Kelsey, Montgomery, I might have the highest scoring team. And that means no matter what, I might get through on that. Likely. Okay, so let's see the next one. I got the first pick. I took Gibbs. It's hard to pass him up. And again, I was sort of trying some different things up here. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. So maybe the drafters at night tend to be a little sharper. These were at night. The ones during the day yesterday were worse than almost every one of these. They went for the Detroit wraparound. Lamar to go with Henry. Allen, Barkley. So when you do that, you're setting up either way, but you're definitely setting up Buffalo. That's a good way to do. I mean, if you want to take a quarterback there because he's gone, it would probably be Hurts. It'd be Hurts, Allen, or Mahomes. Anyway, they went for Allen. I know how DraftKings is with quarterbacks, so I know I kind of have to go out and grab one here because there's big 5, but if the big 4, somebody could take 2. I don't know. Anyway, with Cook and Goff being there, That's a nice combo, although they both are running backs. But these are probably my two favorite teams to make the Super Bowl. And I'm getting two of the best running backs that potentially could carry me all the way through, and then Goff. They took Philly, KC. Now, that set this person off. Well, no, this person took Mahomes and Worthy, which is smart. A.J. Brown was gone. Now, if they liked Devontae Smith or Goddard, they could have done no, see, that's NFC. So you have NFC here, so they took AFC. That was smart. Again, these drafters were smarter. They went ahead and took Hurts. Probably not a good pick, but Baltimore, Philly. I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out for them. I mean, they took 3 quarterbacks, so I'm imagining this is not a good draft. It took Laporta. That really pissed me off because I'm building Detroit and I don't have Williams or St. Brown, and they took Laporta for no reason. I suppose they didn't like what other tight ends were left, but that doesn't mean you have to run and take one. Maybe they wanted Hurts. Yeah, they wanted Hurts. No, they wanted, but they could have taken Goddard. I mean, Hurts was gone. They probably weren't going to go double QB, but if they were going to, they got Buffalo and Philly. Goddard is down here, and so is Kincaid. They didn't need to do that unless you're just trying to build an advance and saying that's the bet, which they did. You can kind of tell they did do that. So I wouldn't say the smartest drafter. Building to advance should be your second priority behind building a viable Super Bowl team. Anyway, so I got shafted on that. Took Montgomery and Andrews. There's not really any Buffalo players I love here. I mean, I could have taken Kincaid, but at this point now, I'm saying I got to get a good tight end. I actually took a third running back before a wide receiver or a tight end. Now, this is a potentially very powerful combo, but not as many people have Gibbs and Montgomery, I'll tell you that either. But without Brown, Williams, Laporta. Anyway, I took Andrews. They took Pua. They took Hollywood Brown. Pua does not fit in. Right now, they've got 1, 2, 3. They've got 5 different teams, or 4 different teams with their first 5 picks. They took Hollywood with Kelsey, but they've got 2 quarterbacks. So this person was probably pissed off they took Hollywood. They took Pacheco and Gray. So definitely building KC. They took Hopkins, so building KC, Baltimore/Philly. This one, you can see people were shafting each other a little more, drafting inconsistently. And that's what happens to me. If I start missing a guy sometimes, I'll just start taking pieces and fill it in later because I'll be like, well, you screwed me. I need to put some good players out there. They took Devontae. That's actually a nice pick that he fell that late. So they got Hollywood, Barkley, and Devontae. Barkley, Brown, and Devontae. And Josh Allen. They got the makings of a nice team if they could put it together. This person rushed on Pacheco and Gray. They rushed on Gray. Look out! There were 6 rounds left. They didn't need to do that. Nobody was taking Gray there. That was a mistake. Comes around to me. I'm just in a cluster at this point. I think my head was spinning, but I think I salvaged this team. So I took Shakir, giving me 2 Buffalo, and Bateman, giving me 2 Baltimore. Okay, so right now I've got 3 Detroit, 2 Buffalo, and 2 Baltimore. Obviously, Buffalo and Baltimore play each other, so only half of those are going to make it through. But it is what it is, and they're all from good teams. And I wanted to see how it played out. Like any of those teams could win the Super Bowl. They took Terry. They took Hunt, adding to their KC. They took Kyron. Again, Kyron, McLaurin, Puka, Mixon are some of the best standalone advance pieces, in my opinion. They took Kyron and Cup. Cup, terrible pick, in my opinion. Any round. They took Goddard, which they could have taken back here. I mean, which would have been, which goes with their Hurts. But you've got the Baltimore and Philly one. We'll see how they end up building it out. They took Collins, advance piece. There's these people that just want to advance, even though this is only a $3 or $5 tournament. You don't want to play it just that way. You want to play for the big prizes or make the finals. while keeping in mind you need to advance. Anyway, I took 2 more Baltimore here. Tight end. I've got all these running backs and tight ends, but now I've got Goff, Gibbs, Montgomery, Bateman. There's a wide receiver, Likely, and Andrews. That's actually starting to become a pretty strong Detroit-Baltimore stack. I would need 1 Baltimore or Detroit wide receiver to fill it out. So you see what I mean about how you can salvage these? I think those are both really good picks right there. Then I took Amari Cooper because I'm also trying to salvage a Buffalo one, I think, because of Shakir and Cooper. So I'm starting to go, well, somehow I can do these 3 Detroit with Buffalo or Baltimore, which actually is a pretty nice one, although I'm going to lose half of one of those teams. That's a pretty good combo that not many people are going to have either. So I took Cooper. They took Flowers. I probably should have taken Flowers there, or could have. Hill, same thing here. Stafford. So I think they got a KC. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. KC, and then they built the Rams, and then they got Detroit. Well, they can fill it out, I guess. So they're sort of building on if they get enough KC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think they got. Let's see, 1. Yeah, it looks like they got KC plus like the Detroit, plus the Rams. So that's not too bad. Anyway, I wouldn't have taken Stafford there, but Higbee, Dotson. They've got Philly going to some degree. Mixon, good standalone piece, but this person's taking all standalone pieces. I don't think they built a viable team. Kincaid and Aguilar. So I've sort of completed my thing where I believe I can have Detroit plus Baltimore or Detroit plus Buffalo. That's pretty nice. But again, half of them are going to miss it out. Let's just double check. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. So we need a wide receiver and a tight end from Buffalo or Detroit. Wide receiver, tight end. So I got that filled. And again, quarterback, running back, tight end. So I need 2 wide receivers and a flex, wide receiver, tight end, wide receiver. So I got those filled out. So you can, and I just took Patrick last round. There wasn't anything else I liked out there. Oh no, I'm sorry, another Detroit piece, Patrick. So I think you can salvage almost any team on this, is what I'm learning. By some of the weirdness that happened in the beginning by me. I just want to see if this guy ended up making a team, because I don't. Buffalo. I don't think there's enough of another team. He would need 3 from the same team. I don't even think he has 3 from any same team. Houston, Philly. No, they didn't. Philly. Oh, no, Philly. So let's see. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver. They didn't get a tight end. They're only tight ends from Detroit, so they didn't fill. That's why another reason for them screwing me on that was stupid. If you're going to take one, take Goddard or Kincaid there. You play yourself in addition to playing me. All right, let's look at the last team here real quick. Sorry, I'm going through these in depth. I haven't really looked at these. I haven't looked at them since last night, and I don't really remember them that well. Final one. Got the first pick again. Let's make sure that's not a repeat. No. Took Gibbs again. It's hard to pass him up. And you're going to get 2 and 3 and 4 enough where you're going to end up with Barkley and Henry. And if you want St. Brown, you can take him early. Anyway. Gibbs, Barkley, Henry, Lamar, and St. Brown. That's a one way to go, but you're sort of saying I'm going to try for Baltimore, Detroit. Buffalo, Baltimore. Not a smart way to go. They're in the same division, same conference. Barkley, Brown. So when I see this and this, I'm already going, well, I don't want to let these guys, might as well lock up a quarterback. Might as well lock up a quarterback. So because the fact that Williams is still here, that makes that more attractive. Williams or Laporta, for example. could also, go Hurts. A.J. Brown was gone. Mahomes, Kelsey, Mahomes, Worthy. If you weren't going to try to lock down that quarterback. Anyway, I did. I got Goff and Williams to go with Gibbs. They took Kelsey. And then this person says, I'm going to take Mahomes. So this guy's like, that happened to me in another one, I think, earlier. It's the Mahomes, Kelsey as the leftover things. But they took Detroit. So me and this person are fighting over Detroit to some degree. And we're on the opposite ends. So they got Laporta and Montgomery. So they got 3 Detroit and Baltimore. I've got 3 Detroit and Baltimore. They took Cook to go. So they got 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, no wide receiver tight end. Now, I guess you could say this worked out actually really well for them. They didn't want Mahomes. I'm sorry. Because they had Barkley, Brown, Kelsey. They were like either Hurts or Mahomes will work. So another pretty smart drafter. So they end up with Hurts, Brown, and Barkley and Kelsey. Nice beginning. Now I have to branch out to an AFC team or take another Detroit piece, but the primary Detroit pieces are gone because this asshole took Laporta and Montgomery on me. So here we're looking at Baltimore, Buffalo, KC. So I could have taken Shakir there, I believe. Was Shakir gone? Yeah, Shakir might have been a 1, actually, a Buffalo. But on the other hand, Andrews is a pretty elite tight end for us, particularly for this round, with Flowers being out. So anyway, I took Andrews and Worthy. I started just saying, well, let me because there's not that many good Detroit pieces left here. I know that. So I'm looking at AFC and I'm going, well, I want to start getting some good pieces from these and I can piece it together as it goes along. Again, you only have 30 seconds or whatever. These go fast. Life comes at you fast. They got Philly. They got 4 Philly going. Rams, no, don't do this. Rams. So this person now is like, I don't know where my stack's going. He took Andrews on me. That's another reason I took Andrews, I think, because this guy. But Puka can help advance. So they took Rams and Bateman. That's their other Baltimore. But they only have 2 Baltimore and 3 Detroit. So me taking that Andrews was kind of big on messing him up. Nico, McLaurin. And I went ahead and took Hollywood and Pacheco. Okay, so already now I'm just a tight end away from building a Detroit KC. I've already got 6 of those. And those are the 2 1 seeds. So then Mixon, this person's, they were off to a nice start with Philly. We'll see how they round it out. Kincaid, so they're trying to piece together Buffalo now. And actually, how did they get James Cook in the 4th round? That's insane. Actually, that's an amazing. How did that slip? To Kelsey. That was an amazing pick, actually, in the 4th round. I've taken him on the 1 wraparound. Anyway, Kincaid Hill, so now they're pivoting to their Baltimore. They're going Baltimore, Detroit. Buffalo, probably just looking for that's a late pick on Shakir as well. Hunt, KC, this person, I mean, Buffalo and KC are in the same conference, bro. Goddard, adding to their Philly. Likely another Baltimore piece because I've got, I'm a tight end away from KC, Detroit, and I know Noah Gray should be there later. This is the kind of thing where you have to, the odds of somebody taking a Noah Gray on this board are not great. I mean, potentially. So, took 2 Baltimore. So that gives me quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and a flex. With that, so basically would need a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just would need a wide receiver from Baltimore or Detroit. And this one I need a tight end from KC, basically, I believe. And that builds a Detroit plus Baltimore or KC stack. Anyway, I took Zay Flowers. Again, this guy's the only other one building Baltimore already, I think. So that's a complete one there. That's a pretty nice team. Goff, Gibbs, Williams, Flowers, Andrews, Likely. That's a pretty nice one. And I'm multi-weighing these. They took Jaden Daniels, Hopkins, Cup, Stafford, Patrick, Ertz. There's my KC tight end. Best piece available, pretty much. Then that should win their next game. Although they're playing me, my Baltimore, but also it messes up other people. Ty Johnson, Coleman, Cooper, Higbee, Aguilar, Schultz, Samuel. Last pick, I needed a Detroit wide receiver, I believe. But either way, there's Raymond, there's Patrick. Patrick got taken. There's a couple other guys that occasionally get taken. So let's see what I ended up here again. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. So for Detroit. And basically lacking a tight end and a flex there. So Baltimore has tight end, flex. KC has tight end, flex. So pretty nice. It worked out in the end, I would say. My advancing is Goff, Gibbs, Williams, Worthy, Andrews, Likely. Not the greatest advanced pieces. This person ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Philly pieces. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. So any AFC teams they can combo with. Kelsey, McLaurin, no. Mixon, yes, but are they going to make it through? Daniels, no. Ertz, no. Coleman, yes. Samuel, yes. So they've got a Philly plus 1 KC plus 2 Buffalo. Let's see how their advancing looks. Hurts, Barkley, Mixon, Brown, Smith, McLaurin, Goddard, Kelsey, Ertz. Looks good. Drafters are smart at night. I think they're dumber in the middle of the day, or else maybe because the earlier to the tournament going. I think with the four teams you can salvage combos a lot easier. And then the question becomes, there were ones I showed earlier where I had 7 of a team. Do you want to go it's a 12-man draft. Do you want to try to get a 4-4-4 type thing or a 6-4-2? It's not always possible to do these, but we'll see what makes it through. This person, did they get a viable team? Buffalo. So they got quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver. So they need a wide receiver and the flex from the same team. Baltimore. Oh, the only other wide receivers they took were KC, Detroit. I don't think they made a viable team. Oh no, they got KC right here. They got Hopkins and Hunt. I think that's it. They didn't draft very well. The Allen's Mahomes thing, there was no point to doing that. Especially because Cook was available. They somehow still got Cook. That's unreal. And then Shakir didn't go to here. That's bizarre. This person was building Baltimore, Detroit with me, but let's see how they ended up doing it because they took Stafford and see if they got it. They got Baltimore. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. So they need a tight end and a flex from another team, which they got with Detroit. They got Laporta, Shane Brown, Montgomery, and they ended up doing with the Rams with Higbee, Stafford, Koopa, and Nakua. So it's like you make the best of what you get. And it might be a unique combination, but let's see if they can advance well. Lamar, Montgomery as your main running back. Hill, St. Brown, Puka, Bateman, Laporta, Shakir. A little iffy on whether they can advance. Anyway, so that's a review of 4 teams. You can see I sort of messed up in all of them or I got shafted. But you can make it work on these. They're not quite as, what's the word? They're a little easier because it's only 4 teams. And if you focus on the big 5 teams, combinations of those and how it plays out. Now, a couple times here I ended up with both Baltimore and Buffalo, which isn't necessarily advisable because one of them will get knocked out. but it is what it is. And I didn't really take advanced rate pieces in this one compared to yesterday. I didn't take many. I actually want to get some Nico if I do more drafts. I didn't get really any of him, I don't think. I haven't done much Kyron, people like that. I mean, when in doubt, take the teams that are going to advance, obviously. All right, so that's it. Thanks for checking out the video. Good luck in your best balls in DFS for DraftKings and Underdog. Football's coming up on Saturday.